Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about the newest stats update that just happened in Crypto Raiders. The team has shifted some things around on how stats work for characters, and I'm actually leveling up some of my characters right now, so this was almost perfect timing. So I thought I would go over that in a video for you all today. Before we get started, I just wanted to say thank you for everyone for subscribing to the channel. We surpassed 100 subscribers, which is pretty huge. That's like my first big milestone, so I really appreciate everyone subscribing and liking the videos and kind of engaging with what I'm putting out. If you enjoy these videos that I'm putting out, definitely like and subscribe. Hoping to make more content. Pretty invested in the Crypto Raider stuff right now, but I know Cool Pets is coming out, which is also going to be another play to earn game. So I'm hoping to get into that if I can snag one. But yeah, if you enjoy kind of NFTs and Web3 content, definitely subscribe to the channel. So with that, we'll get into some of the stat updates that the team put out recently in the past few days. This is basically just a copy paste from the Discord. I just kind of brought it into this document just to make it a little bit easier to read. If you want, you can go back to the theory crafting channel in the Discord and kind of see all of this laid out in the pinned comments or in the announcements. But I didn't think that we had to go through everything, just kind of the key items, and then I was going to give you guys some of my thoughts. So the first thing is that they kind of redone how the stats work in the game. So of course, like the first strategy used to be, put all your stat points into one primary stat, and then secondary stats can be picked up later on with gear. I still think that's probably the right strategy. There is a little bit room for changing things up, but they have kind of made it so that all three primary stats kind of work in a rock paper scissors fashion and balance each other out. So the first thing is that they said that all three primary stats are going to be into account in calculations, but with diminishing rates. So you get a higher multiplier on the highest of the three, and then a medium multiplier on the next highest, and a low multiplier on the lowest. So this does give you a little bit of incentive to have a little bit into each of those top three stats, which is strength, intelligence, and agility, just because you know that those multipliers are going to be in effect. I actually don't know if the multipliers were there before. I'm assuming that they weren't, but it just makes it better because a lot of the gear that you pick up, sometimes you'll pick up something that has a ton of intelligence and also strength, but you have an intelligence build, and so at least now that that strength will be added on as a multiplier. And then the second thing is they're going to balance each other out. So in the rock paper scissors kind of fashion. So I'm not going to read through all this, but the general gist is that strength is better than intelligence, which is better than agility, and then agility is better than strength. This is all kind of laid out in a nice little chart. So this is just a copy paste from if you go to the Crypto Raiders site and if you hover over each stat, it tells you how well each stat does in a given category. I don't actually know why they split up this min and max damage because on the website it only has damage. And this was weird. This was the only instance where min and max damage were different. So unless I'm missing something, I always thought agility would just be +2 damage. I don't know what this min and max is. But if you want to see it in a graph form, here it is for you. So this will be in that pinned comment. But what I want to do is I actually took it and put it in my own graph, and so I wanted to go over that and then just talk a little bit about some possible test builds and what may work better in a given character as I'm looking to kind of level up some of my characters. So here's that chart again that I just showed you guys. This is just kind of my rendition of that chart. I just kind of brought it into a Google Sheet because I wanted to play around with it and just visualize it myself. And then the only thing that I changed was, like I mentioned, that min max damage I just put into one damage category. So you can kind of see here where things stand out and where things don't do as well. So the clear things that stick out to me, if you look at each of the top three, is strength gives you a lot of health and HP, but doesn't really give you any accuracy or evasion. So even though you have pretty good damage, it's going to be hard to hit. But you do resist things pretty well, and you have that nice strength bump. So this is kind of like a brute force mechanism in my mind. Intelligence doesn't give you as much health or crit, but it does have that accuracy and damage. So that kind of makes up for the lack of things in strength. And then agility is obviously the one that gives you the most evasion and lets you hit first. So you may not be dealing out a ton of damage, but you're going to have opportunity to hit first, and then also hopefully evade a lot of your opponent's attacks. And then the last three, wisdom, charm, and luck. I thought about these, and at least starting now, I'm probably just going to pick these up in in gear mostly. I'm probably only going to still put one, like max out one stat and then pick up everything else in gear. But I'm not going to actively go for a bunch of these. Like, yeah, sure, this is nice to have as an accuracy. If you have a strength character, you kind of want wisdom to give you that accuracy. Or if you have, an intelligence build, you want more luck to give you that crit rate. But these things in my mind are a little bit secondary. And so then what I did was I basically just took all of this stuff and just converted all of it into numbers. And the reason I did that was because I wanted to run some test builds. And so I haven't run all of them yet, but what I did was basically just do a primary and a secondary trait, and I did the top three stats: so strength, intelligence, intelligence, agility, and then strength, agility. So as you can kind of see, we'll go through these. If you have a strength and an intelligence build, you're really coming up with good health and good damage, but you have no evasion and no chance to like hit first, and you're not really dishing out critical hits. So this is the idea that okay, like you're going to take a lot of damage, but you have that health to back you up, and then you're also going to dish out a lot of damage. So this could be really valuable if you have like really high gear that helps max out these things, or of a specific rune that helps you down the line, evade more, for example. And I haven't really gotten into the runes, but I'll probably make a separate video about that. The next one is intelligence and agility. So this is actually, for some reason, the one I'm leaning towards right now. Even though there's like the strength intelligence looks kind of nice with this like HP damage, and the reason of this is I just feel like this is kind of a little bit more balanced, and you get a lot in each of the categories. So yeah, you're not getting any crit resist, you're not getting any damage resist, but you are getting pretty good health, pretty good crit rate, crit damage, and then your accuracy and evasion are pretty good too. And you're probably going to hit first and dish out a relatively good amount of damage. So if I can get the gear that I think would make this build worthwhile, so my main character right now is mostly in a strength intelligence, but the one other thing is that they're going to do a stat reset this weekend, so I'm probably going to switch him to an intelligence agility build. Just wanting to make sure that the gear that I have makes sense for that. And then the final one is strength agility. This is also a pretty good build. You get that evasion that you didn't have before. You get pretty good HP, you get pretty good damage, and you have the ability to hit first. So I can also see this doing pretty well. The only downside of this, you don't have any accuracy. So with these types of builds, the play is, you probably do want to pick up, a wisdom, for example, and a strength, agility. If you have strength and agility as your main, you could pick up a wisdom to get that accuracy. So that's why I think it makes sense to, really think about what gear you have, and kind of help you make that decision that way. And so lastly, if you have been using kind of the Chrome extension, which I've been using, that helps you run all your simulations and all of that, I think it is down right now because of the stat update. So I'm just waiting for that to come back, because that helps me kind of simulate how I'm going to do in a specific dungeon. So I think my goal right now is just to kind of play around with this a little bit. I have a couple of free stat resets are going to be sometime this weekend, I believe. And so my raiders, I have one, level 7 raider, and the other ones I have 3 other level 3 raiders. And so I'm kind of probably going to just put one in each camp, one strength, one intelligence, one agility for those level 3 raiders. And then with the level 7 one, I'm probably just going to look at the gear and make a calculated decision. Right now I'm leaning intelligence and agility. But again, I don't have a rune yet, so that kind of might all change if I happen to unlock a rune here. So that's kind of an overview of how the stats update is looking, at least in my mind. I think there's some really good discussion happening in the Discord. So if you have more questions, or if you have ideas, definitely hop in there. I think people are kind of bouncing things back and forth, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see what people end up building, because this actually might lead to a place where you're not putting all of your stat points only into one bucket, and you could kind of like spread them out across a couple of different types of abilities. So I'm excited to see what people build. And I'm pretty pumped for the stat reset, because I was gonna have to stat reset anyway, so you get a free one. So definitely take advantage of that if you are in the same boat as me. But that's all I got for you guys for the stat updates. If you enjoyed this video and if this was helpful, please like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.